Hi, it's Susan Beck with Time to Cook. Today I'm going to make for you a tasty Christmas treat, Cashew Crunch. For one more holiday recipe to share with you before Christmas arrives in the middle of next week. Today I'm going to make for you Cashew Crunch, a little bit like peanut brittle, but in my family we really like using cashews more than the peanuts. So we're going to start by turning the electric skillet up to 350 degrees. An electric skillet is a great tool. It's got a little dial here that allows you to really control your temperature much more accurately than if you were to do this on the top of the stove. So I would recommend using an electric skillet sprayed well with some cooking spray so that all of my sugary ingredients do not burn. Into there is going to go half a stick of butter, 4 tablespoons, and half a cup of corn syrup. This great measuring cup will allow that sticky corn syrup to slide right out. Make sure I get all of it in there. And I'm also going to add 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. Oops, I caught my parchment paper there. Not ready for that. We'll be pouring our Cashew Crunch onto that in a little bit. So this is a recipe that really requires constant stirring, or close to constant anyway. Many people are frightened of making Christmas candies because of the sugar burning and the need for a thermometer. I find with this recipe I do not need a candy thermometer. We're going to judge this to be done based on a combination of length of time and color change. As soon as all of this gets melted, I will be turning on my timer to 9 minutes. I have found that is almost exactly how much time it takes if my skillet is set at 350 degrees. So my butter is almost melted, and this is going to come to a good simmer in here as those sugar crystals melt into the butter. Alright, as you can see, I just have a little bit of margarine down in there that needs to melt still. I think I'm going to go ahead and set my timer to 9 minutes. Alright, with that done, I will proceed to show you some of the color changes along the way as we cook this. So my mixture of corn syrup, butter, and white sugar is starting to bubble nicely here. It's been going for almost 2 minutes. It's very light in color right now. It's now been 5 minutes. The color is still pretty light, so we're definitely not ready to take this off of the heat. I've been using a wooden spoon for my stirring. It's a great choice when dealing with something so hot. Now, one thing with candies, there's not a lot of time to waste. So while this is starting to change colors, I'm going to get my 1.5 cups of cashews measured out, as well as my 1 teaspoon of baking soda. My baking soda will cause some foaming when it's added, and I'm going to have to work quickly with those last 2 ingredients. My cashews are salted. I think a little salt mixed with the sweetness definitely gives most candies a better taste. Alright, 7 minutes have passed, and this is starting to get a little more golden, not so pale now. So our color change is starting to happen. For all you scientists out there, and all of my science students back at school, this is a chemical reaction when you have a color change. Hopefully you're able to see this different color. It's definitely got a very caramely, more brown color than what we started with. We are down to the last 30 seconds on the timer, and I think we're pretty much reaching where we want to be. It's important to get it to this point so that it will snap and our sugars will be at the right consistency for becoming hard and brittle. All right, there's my timer. Time to take and add add in my teaspoon of baking soda. Again, I'm going to get some fizzing, another chemical reaction, followed by my cashews, 1.5 cups of salted cashews. Take and unconnect my heat element here so that I can dump this onto my parchment paper. Parchment paper makes for nice and easy cleanup. Let's turn this so everybody can see that better. Alright, and then it's time to quickly try to spread this out a little bit. To me, this is the toughest part of the job, is trying to get it a little bit thinner, a little bit of cashew in all the bites. Now this is a recipe that I would not recommend doubling. Sometimes when you're doing sugary things like candy, it's best to just follow the recipe as written. Now, you might have noticed that I have a lot of caramel on the same handle of my electric skillet. No big deal. This is such a high sugar content that a little hot water and that will just melt right out of there. And the cleanup for this dish is very, very simple. My dishes are done and all of my extra ingredients are put away. Got a great color with some wonderful cashews there. It's not quite ready to snap though, because when I go to pick it up, it's still bending and it's a little gooey. So I'm gonna leave it sit for another 15 minutes probably. Well, I finished this recipe about 25 minutes ago and I think it's ready to break. It snaps quite easily. I like to make mine into kind of bite-sized portions where you can put almost all of it in your mouth at once. So I just snap it however it breaks. There's no real rhyme or reason. You're never going to make perfectly square pieces or anything with this recipe. My favorite way to store it is to put it into a Christmas tin. It's a great way to give it as a gift. I often take some of this home to my mom and dad because they love cashews as much as I do. Down to my last pieces here. Oh, it's time to give this a taste. This caramel shouldn't taste burnt in any way, yet it should have a nice golden look. And when I bite into it, it should be just slightly sticky, but not gooey. I don't know if you can hear that at home, but I have a great crunch to this. Perfect amount of salt from the cashews and the sugar from the corn syrup gives it a good sweetness.